I believe that we're on the Mishnah on Daf Mem. Let's see if that is correct. Can anyone verify that? What?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got pages and pages of diagrams here. Wait, I have to clarify one point here, just to make sure we're on the same page. There are two Mishnayos on this page. I think we're up to the second, which is the last line on the Amud. Can somebody verify that? Okay, good. So we're on the last line on the bottom of Daf Mem Amud Aleph, about to turn to Daf Mem Amud Beis. Now, this Mishnah should be seen in a broader context of what's called Shnios La'arayos. So there's certain very close, like first generation incestual relationships, which the Torah prohibited. And then when we go to a further relationship, a next generation, that's called Shnios La'arayos. The Rabbanon were afraid that if we allow you to marry so-and-so, then you might come to violate an Erev V'Torais. Okay. Now, add to that, and this is where Masechet Yevamot comes in, the concept of a chalutza. Now, what does this mean? The Torah says that if a woman falls for Yibum, right? So let's say Eshes Ruvain fell to Shimon, and Shimon opted for Chalitza, he's not allowed to marry that Chalutza, that Yevamot. She goes back to the status of Eshes Ach. And that's true for the other Achim as well, but we'll focus now on the Yavam. Now the question is, okay, we know, and this is a Doraisa Halacha, it's a given, that the Yavam cannot marry the Yavam because he gave a Chalitza. Can he marry her relatives? Right? Like, for example, the Torah says he can't marry a woman and her sister. But here he didn't marry her. He gave a Chalitza. So the answer is that the Rabbanon are going to generate an Iser B'Krovas Chalutzasa. He's not allowed to marry a relative of his Chalutza. So let's say, for example, if Ruvain died and he left Rachel to Shimon for Yibum, Shimon instead was Choletz Rachel, and now, after he gave Chalitza to Rachel, he wants to marry Leah. He's not allowed to marry Leah. Why? Because the Rabbanan generated a new category called Eshes Chalutzaso. It's really called, to be specific, Krovas Chalutzaso. Now the question becomes, how far do we go in terms of the scope of Krova? Do we include Shnios La'arayos under that category of Krovas Chalutzosa? If we're dealing with an Erev Doraisa, then the Rabbanan clearly extended that to include Shnios. So if, I don't know, let's say a man is not allowed to marry his mother, so he can't marry his grandmother and his great-grandmother, that's called Shnios. But we started with an Erev Doraisa, and then we expanded the scope. Here, we're not even beginning with an Erev Doraisa, because the sister of his Chalutza on a Doraisa level is not even an Erev. So when you're talking about a Gzera D'Rabbanan, Okay, so the sister of his chalutza is one thing, but what about the grandmother of his chalutza? Then we talk about shnios. So the Mishnah says, "Acholitz liyavimto, hu aser b'kromoseha." Now that's only one side of the coin. Hu aser kromoseha means he's not allowed to marry the krova of his chalutza, meaning we're going to use Zika here. Let's introduce Zika into the equation. Zika is a kind of an issue. So we're going to view it as if when Rachel falls for Yibam to Shimon, it's almost as if Shimon and Rachel are married to each other. The Zika makes them into marriage. And when a man is married to a woman, he's not allowed to marry her krovos. He can't marry her mother. He can't marry her daughter from a different marriage. You follow what I mean? Which would be his stepdaughter. And all that would be doraisa if not for the fact that Zika is not ishus, but if it would have been real bona fide ishus and a man gets married to a woman, he cannot marry her mother. He can't marry her daughter. And then we're going to expand it to grandmothers, etc., through the mechanism of shnios larayos. But what about this case? He didn't marry a woman named Rachel. Rachel fell for Yibam to him. In fact, he gave her chalitza. The answer is that before the chalitza, she was kukala, and that Zika is a mixas ishus, and therefore it's almost as if Shimon was married to Ashes Ruvain, to Rachel. But all that, as far as generating an Isa to her krovos, that's all D'Rabbanan. So how far are we going to go with that? Are we going to include even shnios? He formulates it beautifully. He says, Kol akrovos and esoros midoraisa lebal machmas ishto nisualo. Any of the relatives of his wife who are now considered arayos because he was married to his wife in a full-fledged marriage, asuros bechalutza mi divrei sofrim. We're going to upgrade the status of a chalutza by virtue of the zikas himum to as if she were nesualo. And if she were nesualo, then the Torah prohibits him from marrying any of her relatives. But when we say any of her relatives, the question is how far do we go? And will we include in this zera midivrei sofrim even shnios larayos? On the side, I don't want to confuse you, but I'm tempted to think that this whole issue really boils down to what's called zera l'zera. You have one zera that upgrades chalutza to ishto and generates an isa l'krovoseha, and now you want to go from ha krovos doraisa to include already shnios larayos. Then you're adding on, piggybacking another d'Rabbanan. Now we have a hiyasura bikrova. She is not allowed to marry his relatives. So, for example, if a man marries a woman, she's not allowed to marry his brother. She's not allowed to marry his father. She's not allowed to marry his son. And in the case of chalutza, she can't marry the relatives of her yavam who gave her chalitza, because we're going to make viable that zika as if they were married. Even though he gave a chalitza, he didn't do yibum. If he did yibum, then that's still right. That's hands down. Now here in my Gemara, I have to turn a bunch of pages because it's all full of diagrams and explanations of the diagrams. Okay. Now, what we're left with here in this Mishnah on the next Amud, meaning Memam and Beis, is a delineation of all the krovos that were prohibited by virtue of chalitza. For example, Asur be'ima. He's not allowed to marry Rachel's mother. Who is Rachel's mother? I don't know, Ashes Loman. Anyway, so he can't marry the mother of Rachel. Okay, because the mother of Rachel, had he been married to Rachel, would be an Erev Doraisa. But what about Aim Ima? The grandmother of a Chalutza. So again, if it was his wife, he can't marry her grandmother, but that's Shnios Larayas. But he didn't marry Rachel, so why can't he marry Rachel's grandma? She was only a Chalutza. And the whole Easter on Rachel's mother is only Drabban, and now you're adding to boot the grandmother, who is only a Shnius Larayas. You're piggybacking one Drabban on another. And the Mishnah doesn't flinch about it. Ubebita ubebaspita. He can't marry the Chalutza's daughter nor her granddaughter. Or baspina, meaning her granddaughter through her son. Now, I'm hoping that someone here says something about Shnius Larayas. Just 1 second. Now I'm getting a little nervous. Do you have any footnote here that mentions Shnius Larayas? I think that's what we're talking about here. So, I think I found it. See, if you fish long enough, you'll find it. It says... no, maybe that's not it. 1 second. So the Olam is very quiet here, so I'm assuming Shtika Kodada. So let's operate with that premise until we find out that we made a mistake. That's an optimistic way of going about it. Now what we have here is Ba'chosa, right? So Rachel fell for Yibum to Shimon. Shimon gave Chalitza to Rachel, and now he wants to marry Leah, Rachel's sister. Not allowed to marry. Now it says, Bizman shehi kayemes, as long as Rachel is alive. After Rachel's death, he can certainly marry Leah, because the only reason he couldn't marry Leah is because he was in Merchot Kfulot, he was in inverted commas, he was married to Rachel. But even if he's married to Rachel, after Rachel's death, he's allowed to marry Leah. Ve'achim mutarim. So in other words, one of the brothers gave her chalitza, the other brothers are not included in the gzera of krovas chalutzas. They can marry any of the relatives of the chalutza because they weren't involved personally in the chalitza. The hiasura, now we go to the flip side. After the chalitza, Rachel cannot marry Aviv, Aviv, Beno, Uben Beno. Oh, so wait a minute. This is interesting. He says the following: Asura bi Aviv, Midoraisa. White Raisa.
Because they were the other brother's other grandfather as well. Or
Wait, let's talk about Aviv first. We'll get the grandfather, but Aviv. Why is Aviv Doraisa?
because they share the same father.
Right.
And she was married to
Oh, she was once married to Reuven. Right. I forgot about that. Right. So since she was married to Reuven, then Yaakov is her father-in-law, and that's an erva that exists even after the death of her husband, and that's Midorais. Okay. Now I'm assuming that until now we didn't have any Doras. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. Now it says Avi Aviv. Oh, he writes here V'af shehi min hashnios b'kamakom gazru chacham. So this is a case of shnios. So a woman is not allowed to marry her father-in-law because that's the erva called kala, but she can marry her grandfather-in-law on a doraisa level, and the Rabbanim prohibited because of the principle called shnios larayos. And now we're going to how should I say, to put one on top of the other, right? We're going to pile shnios larayos on top of chalutzasa, akrovas chalutzasa. Somebody is going to mention Gzera, but I didn't see it yet. Now, Ubibno. Now she wants to marry Shimon's son. So that I think is only D'Rabbanan, correct? Because what relationship does she have to the son of Shimon? Nothing at all. A nephew. I don't think it's a problem. What do you say?
That's okay.
That's okay.
Nephew can marry
So it's only because of the Gzera of Chalutza, and that's Midrabban. But what does he say here? Mishum? You're saying it's no Raisa?
Right. You can marry your niece, but you can't marry your nephew.
I was on that.
Yeah.
On the niece.
I mean,
Yeah, the uncle.
the uncle can marry the niece, but the aunt can't.
So this is only D'Rabbanan because she's Chalutza. If it would have been an Ishus Doraisa, full-fledged Kiddushin, then she would not allowed to marry her nephew,
Right.
her husband's son. But here she's not married to him, so it's only D'Rabbanan. Now we have Ben Beno.
The uncle can marry the niece.
Now what's Ben Beno? Ben Beno, even if he was married, let's a second. So what would be if they were married and she wants to marry her husband's grandson? So that I think is right. Oh, he says he nechsheves ke'eshes avi aviv. Right, she's married to his grandfather. Midrabanan, right? Because it's only chalitza, it's only zika. The asura mishum shnios. That means that even if it would have been a full-fledged marriage, then she's not allowed to marry her nephew, but she can marry her grandnephew, except for the fact of shnios. It's again, I hope I'm reading this correct. This is the piggyback that I've been talking. It's one D'Rabbanan on top of another. Now be achiv. she wants to marry Shimon's brother. Wait a second. Shimon's brother would be one of the Achim, but I don't get it. Doesn't he have an Easter of Ach over here? Yeah, I have a feeling that this is a Doraisa. Because again, this man, because she was once married to this man's brother, the late Reuven. So Levi is now Eshesah. Okay, so she can't marry Levi, and that's right. She can't marry Levi, and now we get to Ben Achi. So we're talking about Levi's son. So Levi's son is her nephew. Am I correct? Get that right? Levi's son is what is so that would be an Ervido Rice. Just one second. No. She was married to his brother, and now he has a son. How is she related to his son? We're not talking about Reuven's son. We're talking about Levi's son. So what is the status of Levi? What's her status vis-a-vis Levi's son? Levi is what? Is Eshes Achiv. Now it's a son of Eshes Achiv. And I'm not sure that that's an Erev. Are you sure of that?
Aunt to nephew, I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think it's an aunt and a nephew.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah, because Reuven would have been this boy, Levi's son's uncle.
Right. So by marriage, it's her husband's nephew. Are we sure?
Oh, I see what we're saying.
Are we sure that that's an Erev Rice? I just don't remember.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't say anything.
You're saying if it's her brother's son, but her brother-in-law's son is different. Brother-in-law's son is probably Rabban.
Might be Durban.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but it's
a nephew by marriage. That's what I'm saying. It's not a blood nephew.
Right. Right. The blood nephew is the right son. Marriage nephew.
Now we have Ben. So that's what? That's Ben Achim. Then he has Mutar Adam Bekrovas Saras Chalutzos. Oh, what's that about? Okay. Mutar Adam Bekrovas Saras Chalutzos. So what happens here? Now Reuven is married to two wives. 1 second. Mutar Adam Bekrovas Saras Chalutzos. So he now wants to marry the relatives of the tzara of his chalutza. So wait a second. The chalutza, the tzaras chalutza that's what? That's an Isur Lav. I'm not sure what it is, but that's certainly Doraisa. I'm not sure if it's an Erev Doraisa. Anyway, now, what about the relative, let's say the mother, sister, or daughter of the Tsara? That sounds like it's already far removed. Oh, Mutter. Okay, good. Mutter. It surprises you. Well, let's figure it out. I think it's intuitive, no? We're talking about the tzara of the chalutza. So he was never married to her in any sense, in any shape or form.
Who had a Zika to her?
Because of Zika. Oh, so 1 second. Who cares whether he gave a chalutza?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but no, it's a little bit more complicated. I think I oversimplified it when I put all the eggs into Zika. No, it's chalutza. Why? Because the Torah says that you're not allowed to marry your chalutza. That's a separate Issa. Maybe the man gave a chalitza. Now he wants to marry. So the Torah says, no, we're going to consider like a shesachim or whatever you want to say, but there's a separate Issa chalutza. That Issa chalutza does not apply to the Tsar because he never gave a chalitza. No, she doesn't need chalitza. Her Tsar got chalitza. One chalitza suffices for the whole mishpacha, right? For all the daughters, for all the wives, right? But the other wife now becomes Soras Chalutza, so which again is definitely an Iser Doraisa, but it's not Midin Chalutza. So it's interesting, the Chalitza itself generates new Isurim, and that's true on a Doraisa level and on a Drabanan. But here, we're talking about Eishes Chalutza. So, I mean, that's not really a good term. I should say Sarah Chalutza. And Saras Chalutzaso is the whole new ballgame. He says, Kigon Shimon Shayilo Shtei Nashim, Leah Sarah. Okay, so this is a little confusing because I always start with Reuven, but all right, he switches it around. So he starts with Shimon. We'll go with his name. So Shimon has two wives. He calls them Leah and Sarah. May Shimon below Banim, Utzrichos Nikshosav Yibum O Chalitz. Chalatz Reuven Achi Shimon Leleah. Arei Sarah, Asura Leruven Acholitz. He doesn't say with the rice, but I'm pretty sure that's the rice. Achrovosea shel Sarah. Like Sarah is the Tzara. We get the names right. So he gave Chalitza to whom? To Leah. And now he wants to marry a relative of Sarah. Sarah, he cannot marry. She's almost like a chalitza, not exactly, but right, that once he gives chalitza, he generates an Isra on all of the tsaros of his brother. Ach krovosea shel Sarah, hatzara, okay, Sarah, hatzara, muteres leRuven. Again, who's Ruven? Ruven is Shimon. I mean, Ruven is the Yevamot, surviving brother. V'afsha osru chachamim tzoras chalutza. Oh, he's saying that's only the Rabbana. I thought that was the rice. Okay.
So this is the Rabbana.
Yeah, because he calls it Shimon. Shimon was married to Rachel and Leah. Now Reuven gave chalitza to Leah. Mm-hmm. And as far as Rachel is concerned, the other Tzara, you can marry on a Daraisa level. The Rabbanan Asid, that's to me is a Chiddush. That's what it says here. Afsha Asu Chachamim Tzaras Chalutza. I always thought that Tzaras Chalutza was Daraisa. But he's saying Asru Chacham. Maybe you have something different in your notes. I don't know. It's therefore a Gozru Chacham Lesar Ella Es Akrovos Lechalutza. Below Es Akrovos Shel Tzarasa. Shelo Neflit. The Asur B'tzaras Krovas Chalutza. What does that mean? Kigon Ruven Shecholetz Leleah. Okay, that we had before. Rachel Achosa Nesua Lavram. Yeshlo Lavram Isha Nosefes Shma Sarah Shehi Tzaras Rachel Beis Avram Asura Sarah Leruven. I didn't catch it. You caught that? Let's go one more time. Ruven Cholatz Leleah, Rachel Achosa Nesua Lavram. So Rachel is Tzaras Chalutzas, correct? Now Yeshlo Isha Nosefes Shema Sarah. So Avram is married to two wives, one of whom is Rachel, the other is Sarah. So that means that Rachel and Sarah are Tsaros. Meis Aviyam. I'm sorry, Meis Avram. Asura Sarah L'Reuven. Right, so Sarah is Tsaras Rachel. So I don't know why Reuven can't marry. This is beyond me. Oh, good news. Ubegemara Yisbar Atam. That means that we don't understand the Mishnah. Okay, Rabbosai, so this is where we'll stop here for today. Tomorrow is Wednesday, correct? Okay, I'll just make a note of that. So we finished the Mishnah. That's good. That's good. And we'll pick this up tomorrow. See if I can put this little thing in here. All right. Oh. I need to stretch sometimes. Gentlemen, have a great day.
Do you want me to delete some of those?